there, Dee here from Front Office Guru, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about why the Front Office Guru Training Academy works so well when you're training your front desk. First, you should know that I've been in the medical field for over 30 years, and I was a physical therapist for 20 years in multiple settings before I started working with the front office of private practices. In fact, I started working with the front office of my private practice back in 2012, and all of these systems came from watching and listening and learning the things that they struggled with. In 2016, I took a huge leap and I started working one-on-one with the medical practices across the US and Canada, predominantly PT, OT, multidisciplinary, and chiropractic medicine. Although in this academy, there are quite a few other services that have decided to jump on board and get this training and use it themselves. So it does work across many medical fields. Now let's talk about your staff and how this is going to help them. First and foremost, your team gets their own dashboard. So each team member will have their own account. You control that account, as I've said in previous videos, but when someone logs in, this is what a team member is going to see. So they're going to log in, it's going to welcome them, and they're going to go ahead and view the course that they have access to. In this case, it's the complete Front Office Guru training series, and this is where we get started. This is their course. This is what they're going to see when they click that button. It's going to take them to the first page, which is an overview, and over here on the right, they can see the 21 levels of training that we provide. Now it's broken into 21 levels so that the team members feel like they're accomplishing something and so that they can go to specific areas quite easily and find what they need. Each level of the training has specific topics that we cover, and it's broken into multiple lessons so that they have what they need, and it can be in smaller chunks, somewhere between 5 and 10 minute on average lessons. Some are a little bit longer, and they're set up webinar style. So if this patient care coordinator were to log in right now, they would click over here and say, okay, this is the next step in my training. I've got to work on the path that patients take, and I'm going to click here to get started in this level. They click here and they can see how far they've progressed. They scroll down, it talks about the purpose of that level, and it's broken down into steps. If I were working on this level right here, which is the products and people helped, I would click this level. I would see where I'm at. I can always restart a lesson if I feel like I need to, or a level, and I'm going to scroll down. First and foremost, they get to print a workbook, and over here I have a workbook for you to view. Every level of the training has its own workbook, and the workbooks are broken up. So as they're following the lessons, they're able to actually work through the workbook and get what they need from every level and every lesson of the training. So as you can see, there's a nice looking workbook. They can print it, they can have it in a binder that you supply. There's a checklist, because I firmly believe the technology always needs a backup. There's a checklist where they can keep track of every video that they have watched, every lesson, and you can also sign off on it. This is a great way to double check as you're managing your team. Now on this next set of pages, you'll see that there are questions. So these questions actually apply to the videos. So as they're watching one of the video lessons right here, okay, if I'm watching products, well, I would be answering the questions that go with products. Why? Because I believe in application. Just like as a physical therapist, when I went to PT school, we had to learn why the anterior mobs, why the posterior mobs, why do we use this technique? I believe your front office staff need that, and I've proven that with all of the people that I've worked with. This is all I do all day long, is work with the front office of private practices, and I have mastered this so that they get the results they need. The good ones are going to take this and run with it, and you're going to see success, which is my goal. So as they're working through the lessons, watching this video, I'm answering those questions as I go. It's not a test, it's there to apply the training. Okay, great, I finished that lesson. I can click that I've finished it. I can't click it because I didn't start it, okay, but when they do, it's gonna check it off. Now I'm gonna go on to this next lesson. Say, okay, great, so now we're gonna watch this lesson. We talk about what it's about so they can easily find it. If they really like one of the lessons, they can save it as well, and they just keep moving forward. The other really important thing to know about these workbooks is it's not just about asking them questions to fill out. I provide tips and takeaways from each lesson of the program so that they can use that and apply it and have those in their workbooks as they're working at your front desk. I got a question. Let me go back and look at it. There they go. Another thing to know in the higher levels of this training, so as they get further along in these levels, when we're talking about eval management and getting that new patient lead converted to a scheduled and arriving new patient, I don't just provide a workbook. I provide all the digital files you would need to apply this training and implement it immediately, because I don't want you wasting time. I want you to get it in and get it done. In fact, I also provide all the scripts that your staff would need, and we include those in audio file format as well as written format in the higher level of training. So if we're talking about how to prevent same-day cancels and your team is working through this, that workbook has all of the scripting that your staff need, and it actually links to the audio files. So down here, as they're working through and they're listening to how to prevent a same-day cancel or no-show, they can actually follow along on the written script, but listen to it as well. And they can come back to it over and over again to hear the context of our conversation, and they can apply it. So we've provided all of these demo files as well. And like I said, the actual files, digital files to download. So you have the missed visit policy that we use, you have the scripting that we use, and you have the audio files as well to get it in place. And in the back of all the workbooks in the higher level training, I also provide you with implementation instructions. Okay, do this, next do this, so that you're not trying to figure that out. Your team has that in their workbooks as well, so they can be successful. Now, like I said, as they complete things, it does track it for them, and it tracks in your owner or manager account. If you are a practice owner and you have a front office manager or somebody you want to set up, you can also set them up to manage the staff as well, and both of you can view where your team is progressing and maybe where they got stuck. I hope this helps you to get a better idea of how the Academy will help your team. As you can see, we cover the main areas of patient management that your front desk should be successful with. First and foremost, it's leads. How do we get that lead converted to a scheduled and arriving evaluation on that very first phone call, so they're not making calls after call after call? Second, how do we get them to show up? There are very key factors that get your front desk to put them in control so that their patients do show up, those new patients, so that you get that plan of care. Next, we talk about how do we schedule out a full plan of care? How do we get them scheduled for all of the visits they need for your medical specialty? How do we talk about cost of care effectively and consistently and not worry about telling somebody that they have a $4,000 deductible or an $80 copay, which is basically the cost of their visit that day? And then finally, the big one, the one that most people come to me for, is cancellation prevention. Now that's later in the game, but the cool thing with this platform, as you could see, is you can jump around. You can go to the biggest problem area of your practice first, and then go back to the beginning and get started. One last area I didn't really mention heavily, but I should, and that is using effective communication. There are very specific techniques your front desk should use to be in control of patient care and patient management, and I cover all of that right here early on in the training. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can reply to our emails so you can schedule a free call. I'm happy to give you a demo. I'm happy to talk you through your needs, and I look forward to having you join my front office family. Have a wonderful day.